Thank you very much for joining us here for Links to Success. We're going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing in the online space and social media. I really appreciate you joining us. Here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to do a little introductions, and then we're going to talk about what we currently offer today and some of our core services. We're going to go through the online community roadmap, what's ahead for the next couple of years, couple of months. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing in the last 6 months as I've been here, and go through some case studies on how we can support you in the future and what we'd like to be working with you on. I'm going to ask Albert to talk a little bit about the Web and Technology Committee and his role in that.
Okay, so I have a microphone. People hear me? So my name is Albert. I'm alumnus of the college, graduated in 1993. I work in Silicon Valley, doing mostly deployment analysis for various high-tech firms. I joined the Alumni Board of Governors in 2008, and I am the chair of the Alumni Web Community Committee. This committee fits into the Alumni Board of Governors strategy for supporting the Alumni Association and the 50+ one goal that we have, which you heard about earlier this morning, and really leveraging technology to help create an online community for alumni. Julie came on board earlier this year, which has done a fantastic job. She described to you what it is that she and her team are doing to try and support them.
Thank you, Albert. A little bit about me. So as Albert said, I've been on board since April of 2010. And before that, I was at UC Berkeley in development relations and communications for 8 years. I've had a lifelong career in interactive space. I started out in Wired Magazine, co-founding their online division, and then moved through a lot of interactive agencies and did my own .com for a while until the market crashed and that went away. And I hate to say it, but I have a BS and MS from Northwestern. But I really like it here. So I want to talk a little bit about what we offer you, what you can expect from us. The core services that we offer are things that we think that we can do best for you, and what you really come to us for are the alumni directory, career networking, email marketing, so the news, getting in touch with other alums, and our online giving. We also offer content that's specific to alums. We offer continuing education, group sites, so helping you connect with alums, and a host of marketing efforts. We also consider ourselves the gateway for you to the UChicago community. I want to talk a little bit about where we're at. It's been kind of a rough year, as you might know. And so what we want to look at is this platform that we're on, is the technology that we're using the best technology to be using right now? I feel that we are bumping up against the limits of what the current platform can do. So we're going to look at moving away from that to a sort of different system. And what we want to do is work on finding the best of breed applications for the services that we offer. So we're going to start investigating what are some of the best tools that we can use to do email marketing or to do online giving or to reach out club and group sites, and then try to weave those together so that you have a single experience through all of this. We're going to be redoing our user interface, reorganizing the site a little, making it a little less clunky and clumsy, and then the very exciting part is how we're going to draw social networks into our system. We want to start working with Facebook and LinkedIn more and making that sort of a seamless experience for alums from our site to the social networks and back again. Some of the recent activity that we've been doing, we, as a result of last year's launch and discussion here, we formed a task force to address some of the immediate concerns of the alums. And out of that, we had some major improvements in the way that we integrate our data and also in sign-in, which I'll show you a little bit of. We also, I know Tim Child told me that the relationship monitor shows that alumni are feeling generally positive about the web services, so it's improving. We have a long way to go, I agree. But we're there, we're getting there. Right now, we're in a period of transition, so we're working to build the capacity of our team to meet our new challenges ahead. And we're also working to build in processes to let us do this. We're also looking at what our vendor can do and realizing what the limitations are there, and then figuring out how we're going to get to where we all want to be. We've been doing some benchmarking against our peers, and the good news is that nobody's really satisfied with what they're doing, so we're all kind of in the same boat, which is a good news, because it just says that we're all grappling with the same issues, like how to make social media work for alums. And we're going to be working on some key performance indicators. So I'll be talking a little bit more about some of these things, but we're launching our Affinity Sites pilot. We are working on bringing social networks into our system, and we are making ongoing improvements as our capacity allows. Just to give you a picture of what it looks like right now. These are some of our stats for September. The logins are kind of low. I'd really like to see those bumped up, but we've got some work to do, both in the sign-in interface and also in just making it much, much easier for people to log in. But as you'll see, some of the top information that people are looking for is the career profile and the alumni directory. So we know we want to make those things really, really tight. And then just to let you know a little bit more about how we're doing on registrations and gifts, as of January through July, we had 753 events going through our system. So we're doing a lot of events, and we're reaching out and connecting alums all over the country and the world. Just to go through some recent enhancements. So sign-in is important because we are trying to create an authentic community of Chicago alums, but also one that is private, so that you know if you're having a conversation on our site or you're providing information to us, it's staying with us. It's not going to be broadcast through the Facebook community. So we want to create that sense of privacy, but we also want to make it easy for you to come in and check out what's going on. So we're doing first phase, which is launching next week, I think. We are doing a major kind of interface facelift for the sign-in procedure. And we're going to make it a lot easier for alumni to find their alumni ID. This is sort of the key to getting in. And we're going to try to make that number much more available so that people won't be looking for the last issue of the magazine all the time. We'll be able to find. We've also relaxed some of the password requirements. We're trying to make it easier, and we'll be continuing to work on this, doing usability tests and trying to make it work. The affinity groups will hear more about this at the roundtable session, but we are doing a pilot of university-hosted sites. So these are basically like Facebook, but they're made for the alumni community, and we are developing them in collaboration with the alumni community. So we're kind of excited about how that's going to go, and you'll see more about that over the course of the year. As we do our beta test, we'll work out some of the tweaks and then figure out how to roll it out to class councils and all of the clubs and groups. The Connectors program is something that we're launching for social network managers. And what we're trying to do here is reach out to social network managers and support them in building their social networks. So the first thing that we did was go out and identify the social networks and figure out who among our clubs and groups has a social media site. So we went out and found those. We vetted them with our volunteer managers and then added them to our clubs and groups directory. So that's the first step. It's pretty much of a baby step, but it is the first step in recognizing that there is this larger community out there for us. What we'd like to do next is start to, have those affinity sites that are hosted by the university and begin to build in a more robust directory that would have all of the clubs and groups and affinity sites and pages for each of them and give them a lot more presence on our site. Then we're also going to be looking at out in these social networks like Facebook, for example, getting into Facebook and upgrading our alumni site, and then linking to all of the other alumni-related Facebook sites that are out there, sort of creating that network of alums. And then we hope that as we go along, and I'll show you another case study of how we can work with social media managers to build your networks. So I'm kind of excited about how we can do that. Here's an example of how we can support you for event registration and promotion. So say you have an event. You can publish it through our Event 101 form, and then we will provide the registration. We'll take the money, we'll provide the registration forms for you, we'll give you the attendee list, so we have that basic tactical support. Then we also put the event on our event home, put it into the search, and also soon we will be having it flow into the University of Chicago mobile application. So we'll promote that event to the widest possible audience. We'll also do our email marketing, so events will get promoted in the regional emails and also in the UChicago alumni news. And finally, we will work with the social media sites to share that information out through club tweets. We'll have event feeds. So if you have an event with us and you want it to reach the widest possible audience, we can do that for you. So if you're a social network manager, say you're a Facebook manager, how can we help you? We can provide you with content and images that are related to the university. So if you want some help, we know how we can skin a Facebook site, or if you have a Ning site, we've got a skin for that. So we can begin to provide you things that are sort of University of Chicago related. We can also do cross-marketing through the club directory or Facebook and Twitter and email. And we can help you set up an event feed from our site to your site so that you don't have to repost events. They're just automatically there. And then data sharing is important because if we know who the members are and the events are, then we can figure out how to help you market your events to new people that you might not have thought about. So we can work with you on that as well. Just as an example, and you've got this in your handout, we did a social media audit of St. Louis because Jeff, who couldn't be here, he has done a good job at getting a presence started. So he's got a Twitter account and a Facebook account and a LinkedIn account for St. Louis. So good start. And so we thought, okay, how could we help him? So we drilled down into what he was doing and found out, he's got great branding across all his assets. It looks really good. We might be able to support him a little bit more in that if he wanted to have a UChicago logo for alums. He has some reach, but we found through just some basic searches on each of these sites, a handful, 100 people in each medium that he could connect to very easily. For example, just by doing a search of St. Louis and UChicago, we could find a whole bunch of people that are probably standing right next to him, in LinkedIn that he doesn't know about, and we could help him connect with those people. Same thing for Facebook. We could do a search of all the people who list the University of Chicago in their education and are also in St. Louis, and then we can reach out to those people. So we can drill down into different areas and help people figure out, okay, what would be the next step in expanding my social network? We can also help you with what is your unique value? How can you talk about yourself online? How can we help you optimize your site for search engines? And how we can get feeds, help you with getting feeds into your site so you can get content and events into your site without having to do that yourself, take some of the load off. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, then what we suggest is that you talk with your volunteer manager and work with them to kind of define what it is that you're trying to do, and then they can draw on us as a resource to sort of come in and do a makeover of your social media site. So one of the things with the Connector program that we would like to do is share information as we learn. So we are constantly looking at social media or email marketing, how we can make it better. And we want to hear from you about what your experiences are, what some of your problems are, and then work with you to have a better experience, find out what the best practices are. So as we learn, we want to push that information out to this Connectors program. Here's just an example of a Forrester report that we have, and it talks about how pulling some of that social media conversation into your email marketing can be really powerful in getting people to come to an event. For example, Alumni Weekend. If you have Twitters from last year about Alumni Weekend in your social media marketing piece, then it just creates that sense of authenticity and excitement and personal recommendation that get people very excited about coming. So we want to start figuring out how to pull this community into these marketing pieces to support what we're doing. Here's another example. This is a peer benchmarking report we did earlier this year. And I can show you this report. I did bring it. I've also got some other documentation. But one thing, like I said, that we learned is nobody's really satisfied, but schools are doing some really interesting things here and there, and we hope to learn from those things and then try our own things and feedback. So I think all of the schools, all of our peer institutions are exploring and experimenting here, and we want to be a part of that and connect with all of them and learn what we can. But it is good to consider, for example, here, what is it that universities can do best? And so talking about connecting alums in a community that you're talking to other alums, providing that authenticity is very important. And also access to career-related services that only we can provide. So we'll be doing a lot with career services going forward to try to expand what we can offer to alums. Okay, I'd like to spend a lot of time just answering questions, if possible, and talking to people about what's come up for them, or any questions about social media and using that. If you had things that you'd like to bring up. Yes?
Yes, our Chicago Booth Alumni Club has been using Club Express, with some degree of success, but with a few hiccups along the way. Do you see this as eventually becoming a replacement and a substitute for that type of capability, or would this be something that we do in addition and in some way integrated to?
Well, I would say if what you're trying to do, if we can offer what you're trying to do, then it might be better to be with us because we can also offer a lot more because we're connected up. But sometimes it's hard to move a community from an existing community to a new community. So what is working for you with the Club Express?
Well, most event registrations certainly, an online directory, that people can access other members. We have some social media visibility. We're just beginning to get onto Facebook and get known in that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the basics in place.
Yeah. Well, I would say, kind of getting back to something that was on an earlier screen about the hub and spoke model, we can provide a gravity to what we're doing. So we can provide a center that tells what all the clubs are doing, but if you have a site that's working for you, we can pull that into this. If you have social media sites, we can pull those in. So we can bring all of your different activities out there together under kind of a single directory page, for example. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
First of all, I just got to tell you, congratulations. This is an incredible amount of progress in 12 to 18 months, so thank you for having all this. I've got two questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
One's kind of related to what he asked earlier. But my first question is, you said you're centralizing everything to the CNET ID, which kind of makes sense. What's going to be the outreach to get awareness of the CNET ID and get folks to start registering? I mean, is there a plan in place for that?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that because that's kind of the next step. We can make some basic interface changes and things like that, but we do want to work with CNET ID, and young alums have no problem with it. So we have this older or advanced alumni population that yes. So we have to reach out to these people and let them know how to get a CNET ID, where to find that alumni key. We've explored with our identity management people other ways of just providing, basic information about yourself, where we could deliver a CNET ID to you, things that we could kind of do for you. So we're exploring all of that, but I do think that at some point a marketing piece will have to go out that we can reach out to people.
That might be something that Al's subcommittee, which I'm a member of,
Yeah.
maybe we can help you think through, because I think that could be a great way to get more people on.
Mm-hmm.
The second question was related to what the gentleman asked. There's hundreds of different little social groups. We have LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook groups happening all over the world and all over the country and all different clubs. One avenue is to put everything central, which has its challenges, as you noted, but is there a strategy to at least link them into the larger one? So, like, these guys can do their own, but they can still be linked into the power of gravity they talked about.
Yeah, I think there are a couple ways that I've been thinking about how we can do this. One is, having a page on our site for every club or group that exists, and we can learn how to bring feeds in so that we're pulling together all of those disparate pieces. We can provide, we would have our own hosted solution if you wanted to do that. I think we can work with the club managers to figure out how they'd like to promote that to the rest of the group. I don't know if I'm fully answering your question.
The answer might not be in the room, but it might be something that we strategize to and get the input of folks in this room over time. Because I think getting people on CNET and then amalgamating gives the power to this whole thing.
Yeah, I would definitely like to look at ways of creating these communication channels to and from all of these different areas.
I think he was first.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, no, I just want to ask you a question about, is there plans to customize the interface for the alumni? Because the professional group where I belong to, they just went through a major rollout in terms of an upgrade of their website, global. And one thing that they're doing is they're having the pages come up. People first respond to a survey to say what their interests are, that sort of thing. And so when you log on, the website, in a sense, shows you a unique sort of perspective versus everybody else based on whatever your expressed interest. So if I'm from Chicago, of course, it'll show there's a local society here in the professional group in Chicago. That'll be part of the initial page that you have. But if you have, say, certain interests, like in the investment area, I'm interested in alternative assets. If this organization is sponsoring events not only in Chicago but elsewhere around the world, or conferences and materials, that also comes up at the same time. So it kind of keys into what you specify to the entity. So you have to get people to cooperate in terms of giving them a little information about themselves. But when they do that, then they're able basically every time they come in to present what conceivably that person is most interested in, just to make that engaged connection for the individual. Ultimately, the hope is they like to see that website as the home page for the individuals when they just turn their computer on or something like that. So I don't know if that is even something that's possible with an alumni group.
Yeah,
but
so
to kind of get that up your priority scale in terms of what you're looking for when you want to go online or anything like that.
Is it a personalized view that you're talking about that is
Pretty
specific
much,
to you? Yeah. So
specific to you. So if you have the particular characteristics like somebody else, they might have the same view. But because you specify in advance what your interests are, or background, or where you work, or that sort of thing, they can kind of customize what you see versus what everybody else.
I think that's that's a great place to want to head to. And it's a little more advanced than where we are now, but one of the things that is happening right now is in the Affinity Sites demo that we're doing, the beta site, we have the ability to show you all the different clubs that you're a member of and give you a customized feed of events that are just for the clubs you're in. So in that way, you'll begin to see some of that, and if the activity is located on our site, we can do more of that. It's going to be a bigger challenge to pull all of those social media sites and the activity there into our site. But it's possible, and it's really fun to think about how we can make that happen. And then,
Sorry, wait a minute.
yeah, here. Oh, excuse me.
I'm a member of the University of Chicago Women's Alliance Board of Directors, and we've for 2 years to try to get a website presence, which we have not yet received. Okay. I wanted to ask you with regard to what you said. Is it possible to have you come to us to help us set up a Facebook for our group that would actually advertise our events in a more timely manner than what we're currently getting? What happens now, for example, is the big push is to show a breadth of events for U of C alums all across the world. So say, for example, we have an event. It will be advertised 3 weeks before the deadline of registration, and the week before, when people we'd want them actually to register and see it. For some other reason, it's just randomly picked off the web and put on there, and it's not on there. I mean, it's really not efficient, and we'd like to have help from you come to us, maybe, or we could meet you.
Yeah, we can make a
help us
presentation.
figure out how to make this work more efficient.
Yeah, there are tools that are coming out now too. Like there's a tool called Deliver It, which will help you put feeds of information from your Facebook to your LinkedIn to your Twitter to your main site. So we can show you how to connect all of those so you're only putting the information in once. That's one
Because we don't have it right now. I mean, we basically have to depend on if people decide at the university that they want to put our event in right before the closing. It's not real efficient, so we'd like to have some help from you.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. Okay, you and then you.
If I may just continue with what this gentleman was saying, that I think too, when you log in, if there's a possible way to kind of link up some of the different volunteer opportunities, like if you're doing ASC, you're going to a different site. If you're volunteering with CAPS, you're doing stuff over email. You know, I'm not sure what happens with the event coordinators and stuff, but you know, when you log in, if you are a volunteer for those things, if there would be the functionality where then at least it was easier to click from your CNET homepage or whatever into these other volunteer opportunities, I think that would make everything a lot more convenient.
Yeah, so it's a little challenging because we have to get all that volunteer information from all over campus into our system, which is more complicated than it sounds. But we can start by just making those links really available. And that would be the first step. And then the next step would be, figuring out how to know that you're in all of these different clubs and figure out how to get you access to those other systems. We have had roundtable meetings on campus of all the people who are working with volunteers, trying to figure out a way to make this easier for everybody because everybody's in a different system. So we know there's pain and we're working on a solution. Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for everything you're doing. It's a huge challenge. I mean, we launched Paris Club for alumni 8 months ago. We used a lot of LinkedIn, Facebook. We have more than 200 people today on LinkedIn, which for Paris is actually pretty good. And I have a few questions. One of them is 2 months ago I discovered it was a great iPhone application for the University of Chicago. And some alumni were very excited about it. And then we organized events and we realized there are no events on it for a while. So I was wondering, in terms of priority list, what is the delays where we can inform our alumni, well, now you can look and see what's coming up. Or at least maybe just disable the function in the meantime, so people don't have a feeling that actually there's no set.
So with respect to the iPhone application, we are aware of that and we are working, we don't own the application, it's owned by University Communications. We're working with them right now to figure out how to get our feed into their feed. I thought it was going to be as simple as an RSS feed into that system, but apparently it's not, so it's going to take some coding and more work than we thought to get it in there. But it's on our radar. Yeah?
Second question is for email marketing, which is beautiful, works great. The delays are a bit long, I would say. And also one of the other problems we encounter in France is in terms of mailing list. Like when we look at the people we have on LinkedIn or Facebook, I would say we have 10 to 20% of alumni who actually don't live in France. They are living in Belgium, they live in Switzerland, they live in London, but they want to know what's happening in France because they travel a lot or they used to live in France. If we send an email to Chicago to advertise and send directly the email to our alumni, we don't know who received the email. So we don't have a way to not select the proper database and directory for alumni. And I was wondering if there was a way, even maybe to have like an easy template we could use and then send it ourselves to like the alumni, or try to see how we can work with this. Because realistically, I have once per week someone who tells me I changed my email address, please update it, I'm moving to Singapore, I just arrived in Paris. And when you do an event, it's just a question of delays and time management, which has been an issue for us.
So, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that, for one thing, you have an email list that you think might be better than the one that we have here because you're keeping it, you're getting all that information in, or?
It's not a question of better or not. It's just a question. The mailing list from the University of Chicago, when you send an email, you select everybody who's located in France.
Yes.
But people outside of France, you can't reach them with this mailing list. So it's a different approach to it. It's in terms of interest when people sign up to the mailing list rather than where to do.
Julie, if I could, sorry,
Sure.
just building off of that, people do travel for business a lot. So if, for instance, I met someone earlier today, he lives in Chicago, he's in DC every week. He only gets the Chicago email. So because it's keyed off of the zip code. So I think that's one of the issues.
So a couple of things. We can figure out how to pull the list, to include more of these people, and you can work with your volunteer manager on that list pull. That's one thing. And then maybe you could even take a look at it and see who's getting pulled and see if that's the right group for you. We could probably work with you to get some templates together that you could use on your own in your own email system. That should not be a problem. And finally, we are working on communication preferences so that people will be able to choose which newsletters they get. It's in the works. We have a beta test of it. There's some little sticky glitches that we're working with, but I know that's where we want to be, so we're working that direction. And until then, they can always search the events page on the website.
I wanted to ask about the affinity site pilots. How flexible are they going to be? I'm first of all interested in online collaboration possibilities, and in this respect, another question. You mentioned that signing is important, but when you are doing some project, you first want to attract people and maybe let them look at something without logging in, and then look at Drupal. It allows public content and all this stuff. Can you comment on these issues?
Yes. The affinity sites as they are right now do have public content and private content. So you get some basic stuff up front, and then when you log in, you'll get membership directories and those things that we want to keep private. And since we're developing that along the way in collaboration with alumni, we can listen to some of the concerns that you have and see if we can address those in the future development of those sites. Does that answer your question?
How much of Drupal capabilities in terms of choosing whether your content is public or private, root members have? So is it okay just when you are doing a project to let people decide whether some part will be public or private, or do you want it as something?
I believe, Eric would be the person to talk to because he's the product manager for that. Eric Rogers, I can connect you with him. What was the question? So the question is how, in the new affinity sites that we're working on, how much content will be public versus private? How much will people be able to just jump in and start working on the project versus having to sign in and have that barrier to entry? So I believe that Eric is setting it up with a pretty wide range of choices for the admin of the site to say how they want that to be set up. Right now, I know anyone can join, but we'll be able to set that up so that you could have private memberships if you want. So participation is not right now locked down. But it's just in the beginning stages, so it'll be hard to answer your question specifically. Derek.
Joy, appreciate all that you've done on this. It's great.
Thanks.
With social media being very kind of amorphous, do you envision like any kind of guidelines or directions for clubs and groups, kids, so that way there could be kind of some uniformity? Because I can envision this being something where very into Facebook group or LinkedIn sites don't have. They have this semblance of affinity to the UChicago name, but they're very different looks and feels. That's one my first question. But then I guess the second question would be, to break this kind of obstacle of getting CNET IDs in the hands of users, I wonder if there's any way to promote like actual memory cards that people can get. Because I don't even think I have a UChicago alumni card, but you know, it's crazy how much something like that would actually build brand awareness and desire. And I know from my other UC affinity, the college, small college in UCLA, but they do very good ways to prevent people from using their affinity unless they pay to their alumni association to get on Facebook. So they basically make you pay to become part of an association. And I think there's opportunities to promote an alumni association here for people to get that desire.
Oh, well, I'll note that for future planning. We'll figure out how to, thanks for the great idea. And if I can remember your other question, it's social media and guidelines.
So we can hear in the back. I don't think
Sure.
you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first question was more about guidelines for social media because it's so amorphous that, before we kind of diverge in all these different paths, can we build some collaboration, I guess, in terms of making sure that we're all on the same page? And then second would be, like I don't have to mess with like an alumni card like this, but maybe if there's a way to just, request one online and it gets sent to you, maybe that would be a way to get CNETs out in the hands of people because just from seeing how many people from my other university that go pay to members of UCLA, there's probably an pent-up demand, I would think, for alumni that just don't have a connection because they don't have some card or something.
Maybe it should be plastic or just
Maybe if they can just get sent out, they can give them something to put in a wallet to remember that. And or they see another alumni and they say, oh, I don't have one of those. I want to get one. Would I get one? So, I mean, it probably already exists, but I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about cards quite a bit, and actually, a number of ways we could use them. Like, could we add them with magnetic strips to make registration at events easier, so that people aren't so like. And so anyway, we're trying to figure that out too.
Okay.
I think, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even temporary, ones that people have at our events, we could pass them out and they can use that as a reminder to log in. I don't know. I guess we're open ideas, but we have all these events like Harper Lecture and stuff, but we're not equipped at the local level to get people equipped to sign on right then and there.
Right, and figuring out how to push the CNET idea a little more expansively, I think is something that everybody in this room is on the same page with. But everybody in this room doesn't own it. So
yeah.
But I think it's right in line with what our aspirations are for it too.
And just to answer your question about policy and guidelines, the campus is, all the social media people on campus are connecting to think about what our guidelines would be, not necessarily a policy, but and we could push that out through the Connectors program to all the other social media managers. So yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that'll be great. So they said we had till 10:15, but we're I'll take one more question, and I want to give you some time to just take a break anyway. So yeah.
For all of the amazing volunteers that are in this room, it seems like this is a fantastic action plan. What are the sort of next best steps for them? You're a small club that's starting in, I don't know, Timbuktu. Would you recommend to them that they go, not only create their stuff on our website, Quintera, and working within that construct, but also provide opportunities for alumni to connect with others? So should you create a Facebook page? Should you create a LinkedIn? And then when that all links back together, would that be the best way for them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, part of it is just capturing the excitement that's out there. So, if whatever tool seems like the right tool for you to do that right now, and see if you can get the energy together in Timbuktu enough that it kind of has a life of its own, then tell your volunteer manager, tell the international volunteer manager, connect with them and then pull in our resources to push you to the next level. So I think that would be the way that we could really help out. Are there any last questions? Okay, I'll be around this afternoon if you want to talk more about your social media. Thank you very much.